This is the story of Seo Jun, where he grew stronger by farming and evolving his pets by giving them his special juice, making them thick. Thick. What the? In the previous episode, we witnessed how, when the blue moon arrived, a menacingly loud noise nearly caused Seo Jun to faint. He obtained blue corn and some blue cherry tomatoes, and after consuming Seo Jun's special cherries, the tower manager fainted in pleasure. Oh, sorry, but fainted in pain. Seo Jun skillfully separated the husk of the corn, which had been blessed by the blue moon. He gently placed it into a pot along with some water, then covered the lid. As the corn simmered over the campfire, Seo Jun sat beside the pot, wearing a satisfied smile. He remarked how he was finally able to put the pot that Theo had bought to good use. He explained that the corn husk would create a layer of air between the pot and the corn, resulting in a perfectly cooked corn. Next, Seo Jun took the remaining corn husk, washed it, and set it to dry between two rocks with the help of two wooden branches. He smiled gently, saying that once the husk was dry, he would be able to make corn silk tea, adding another beverage to enjoy in the cave. Then, the husband rabbit and the other rabbits greeted Seo Jun with cheerful wishes of good morning. Seo Jun returned their greetings with a warm smile, starting the day on a positive note. Seo Jun inquired about the baby rabbits, wondering where they were. The husband rabbit gestured toward the cave, indicating that the babies were inside, sleeping peacefully beside their mother, who was currently breastfeeding them. With excitement, Seo Jun called all the rabbits and proudly displayed the blue and juicy cherry tomatoes, blessed by the blue moon, that he had harvested the previous night. He explained that the harvest had been plentiful and that each of them could have one. The husband rabbit and the warrior rabbit were overjoyed to receive their share. Before we proceed, today's goal is 7,777. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you. Now let's continue with the story. Turning back to check on the boiling pot, Seo Jun informed the rabbits that he was preparing a new batch of blue moon corn, and they could all enjoy it together once it was ready. The rabbits eagerly anticipated this treat. Then, the husband rabbit, holding his blue cherry tomato, tried to convey to Seo Jun that he wanted to share the blue cherry tomato with him. Hearing this, Seo Jun was overjoyed by this gesture, and he responded with a warm smile as he patted the husband rabbit. He expressed his deep gratitude, acknowledging that the husband rabbit always looked out for him. Happily, the husband rabbit wagged his tail in response. On the other hand, the warrior rabbit felt a bit sad because Seo Jun was only patting the husband rabbit, and the chubby rabbit seemed a bit displeased, puffing up his cheeks in a mildly annoyed manner. Then Seo Jun turned towards the warrior rabbit and the chubby rabbit, and with a smile he said that even if he wanted to eat all the blue cherry tomatoes by himself, he couldn't because they were all a family. So they would have a grand feast and share the tomatoes with everyone. Hearing this, the warrior rabbit became very happy, and the chubby rabbit started drooling in anticipation. The scene then shifted, and we saw our queen bee with her worker bees collecting nectar. Seo Jun gently opened the hot pot's lid, and steam filled the air with a sweet aroma. Gazing at the hot blue corn, Seo Jun remarked on how delicious it looked. He carefully picked up the steaming ear of corn, even though it was very hot, unable to wait any longer. He blew on it to cool it down, thinking that since it was a D-grade crop filled with the energy of the blue moon, it should taste even more delicious. After the corn had cooled down, Seo Jun, with a very happy smile, prepared to take his first bite. Sitting beside him were all the rabbits, each holding a cherry tomato, eagerly awaiting their share. However, the chubby rabbit couldn't wait and had already devoured an entire blue cherry tomato in one go. Finally, all the rabbits began taking small bites with great joy, savoring every bit of sweetness and deliciousness. The chubby rabbit, having already eaten his portion, sat holding his plump stomach. Just then, the husband rabbit appeared in front of Seo Jun, smiling happily and holding two blue cherry tomatoes. He announced that he would share them with his wife. Seo Jun wished him an enjoyable meal. Seo Jun then took a bite of the blue corn. As he had anticipated, it was incredibly delicious, and he could taste the sweetness in every single kernel. Unable to contain himself, Seo Jun began devouring the blue corn, eating it with the same enthusiasm as a rabbit. The more he chewed, the more delicious it became. The rabbits watched in shock at the speed with which he was eating, and some even started cheering for Seo Jun. Then the system notified Seo Jun that he had consumed the stamina corn, and Seo Jun's stamina increased by 0.1 permanently. Holding the cob of the blue corn, Seo Jun expressed his joy at how delicious it was, and how he ate it so eagerly. Then, he threw the corn cob into the campfire, cleaned his hands by clapping, and declared that it was time to harvest some corn. The rabbits also cheered happily. They were all ready to start harvesting. Now standing near a cornstalk, Seo-jun examined the corn closely, commenting on how perfectly ripe it was and ready for harvesting. He carefully plucked one corn, and the system notified Seo-jun that he had harvested a corn of stamina. His job experience increased slightly, and he gained 20 XP. Holding the corn, Seo-jun wondered about its stats and decided to check. The system then provided information. The corn was called Corn of Stamina. When consumed, it would permanently reduce 20 grams of fat and increase stamina by 0.2 for 10 minutes. This effect could be stacked up to 10 times. Furthermore, when consumed by non-awakened individuals, it would also improve their overall health and make them look young. Happily holding the corn, Seo-jun couldn't help but think about how great it would be if he could give this special corn to his mother. He believed it would make her look younger. Seo-jun decided that when Theo visited next time, he would send some of this corn along with cherry tomatoes to his family. It wouldn't be fair if he was the only one enjoying such delicious food. The sickle rabbit continued to cut corn, while the chart rabbit and the white rabbit gathered more corn. They all agreed with Seo-jun's thoughtful idea. Suddenly, a slight growl echoed through the cave, and the mommy bear along with the baby bear greeted Seo-jun with a warm smile. Seo-jun quickly came out of the cave and asked the mommy bear if she was okay, and if she had been hurt. He mentioned hearing loud noises from outside the cave the previous night. The mommy bear assured him that she was perfectly fine. Seo-jun then turned his attention to the baby bear and offered him some of Queen Bee's special juice, knowing that he must be craving it after not having it for a long time. The baby bear's eyes sparkled with delight as he eagerly took the honey and began to enjoy it. After that, Seo-jun turned to the mommy bear and told her to wait for a moment. He promised to bring her some roasted fish in just a minute. Then, still rubbing his eyes and dragging his bag, Theo woke up. Seo-jun asked why Theo had woken up so early, and Theo proudly responded that he couldn't waste any time as sales cat Theo. He was going to work because he was the ultimate pro among wandering merchants. Seo-jun, trying to maintain a neutral expression while feeling a mixture of emotions, commented on how Theo was truly becoming a professional wandering merchant. Then, Theo clung to Seo-jun's foot and asked him to have the mommy bear take him to the wandering merchant passage. He explained that many dangerous monsters were prowling around due to the blue moon. Without hesitation, the baby bear gently picked Theo up and, with his mommy's assistance, started heading towards the passage. Theo wiggled in their grasp, worried about his precious cake being torn. Observing the damaged field, Seo-jun commented that it was time to restore it while waiting for the mommy and baby bear to return from dropping off Theo. The scene shifts, and we find the Ox King, the boss of the 99th floor, sitting on his throne while his thousands of soldiers stand before him. One by one, the Ox soldiers approach the Demon Ox King, each one placing mud beside him. The Ox King begins counting. Soldier number 1 brought dry mud, and then another soldier arrives and he remarks, "So, soldier number 2 brought dry soil." Upon hearing this, the soldier who brought the dry soil starts to panic a bit and forces a smile. However, the Ox King becomes furious and starts shouting. He berates his ox soldiers, declaring them to be dumb for bringing mud and dry soil. He emphasizes that he's a living being, not a plant, and questions how he could eat mud. He asks them if they've lost their minds. One of the soldiers raises their hand and explains that it's been so long since they've seen any green grass in their territory that they didn't know where to find food. They express their gloom, admitting that even if they were to dig up their entire territory, they would find nothing but mud. Listening intently, the Ox King reflects on their word. He curses under his breath and slumps back onto his throne. He starts to wonder why this is happening. Once upon a time, their territory was filled with lush green fields and high-quality grass. However, after he became the boss of the 99th floor, he needed large quantities of grass to maintain his muscular physique. He had ordered all his men to gather grass in their territory, but the Minotaur race are large monsters with voracious appetites. The rate at which they consumed the grass far exceeded the rate at which it grew, leading to the land becoming barren, devoid of a single blade of grass. Now, thinking deeply, the Ox King was worried. He and his subordinates were not eating and were losing muscle. Even the health of the newborn young Minotaurs was not looking good. If they didn't receive anything to eat, their lives would be in danger. Then, the Ox King shouted, calling for Ox number 3. However, even after calling for several minutes, no one came. The Ox King asked in concern if Ox number 3 had mistakenly entered another monster's territory and got himself into trouble. But from behind, Ox number 3 came, apologizing. He explained that when the blue moon ended and he opened his eyes, he found himself very far away, so it took him a long time to reach here. Hearing this, the Ox King showed relief, saying it's fine as long as he returned safely. However, before he could finish his sentence, the Ox King noticed something and his eyes widened in shock. He had a puzzled expression on his face as he started coming closer to Ox number 3, making Ox number 3 nervous, thinking the Ox King might punish him. Suddenly, the Ox King came even closer to Ox number 3, holding his shoulder, and shouted, "What is that on Ox number 3's head?" This left Ox number 3 in confusion. The Ox King continued, saying he was talking about that sweet-smelling root that was hanging on Ox number 3's horn. While saying this, the Ox King was breathing heavily, and Ox number 3 noticed something hanging on his horn as well, and he too got shocked. What could it be? The scene shifted, and we saw the tower manager lying in pain. Her head was throbbing severely. She tried to recall what had happened, wondering how she had ended up in this condition. Slowly, she attempted to stand up, but as she rose, her head collided with the chandelier hanging from the ceiling. She was confused and shocked, wondering how the chandelier had come loose. Then, when she looked down, another surprise awaited her. She noticed that her crystal ball had shrunk in size. As she gingerly picked up the crystal ball, she realized that neither the chandelier nor the crystal ball had gotten smaller. It was she who had grown bigger. So, the video ends here. What do you think will happen next? Write in the comments and give a pink heart in the comments if you watched till here. Thank you.